Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is your severe weather outlook for today. Moderate risk of severe weather across much of Mississippi. And here is a look at that latest uh, severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. A very large, enhanced, and moderate area, including much of Louisiana, Arkansas, as well as portions of southern Tennessee and far western Alabama. All severe hazards are possible today. Again, those tornadoes could be EF2 plus, perhaps even EF3 plus and long track. Large hail also possible in excess of 2 inches across Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi. Let's take a look at all of those hazards individually now. As we can see here, that 15% and 10% areas of tornadoes are very large across much, if not the entire state of Mississippi, save extreme southern Mississippi, as well as the rest of the enhanced area, the enhanced risk area. Now, wind will also be a concern, but less of a concern. However, that concern drives all the way to the north near Fort Wayne, Indiana, and so is a very large, more widespread area. But the storms will be discrete with this system, which means we won't have a line of severe storms, which normally brings with it a larger wind threat. And so that wind threat is now only 15%. Now, according to the Storm Prediction Center, hail will be a big concern. And again, since they're discrete storms, that is, individual cells, hail does tend to be a larger concern. And as we can see here, 30% chance of that severe hail. Even hail to 2 inches or greater are possible. And it's going to be more likely earlier in the day, perhaps even far eastern Texas could experience some of that very large hail. So here are the probabilities of severe weather within 40 kilometers. As we can see here, it maxes out around 37% chance over central Mississippi of any type of severe weather within 40 kilometers of central Mississippi. And that increases, of course, if we increase the radius to 120 kilometers. Looking at just the tornado chances within 120 kilometers, it maxes out around 82% along that Mississippi Louisiana border. And so, tornadoes are a big concern. Generally, as soon as we see that hit around the 50% threshold within 120 kilometers, means that we will generally see a tornado somewhere within an area, especially over such a widespread area here over much of Mississippi and northern Louisiana. It is extremely likely that we see at least one, if not several tornadoes, perhaps even a long tracked one. And we'll talk about that long track here shortly as well. The worst hazard chance, again, that blue is going to be the wind chance. Those wind chances maxing out around 84% within 120 kilometers. But tornadoes are also a concern, as we mentioned earlier, maxing out around 82%. That's in those red numbers. And so wherever it's red, that means the tornado chance is the highest chance of any severe weather. Blue means that wind is the highest chance of any severe weather, and green meaning that hail is the greatest chance of any severe weather. Only a few of those areas across the whole map. Again, as I mentioned, that wind chance extends far up into the north and far over to the east, as well as the storm continues into the nighttime. But early on, especially this evening, over Louisiana and Mississippi, generally that tornado threat is going to be highest, the biggest threat, and that will continue over much of this area. The severe timing within 40 kilometers, again, shrinking down our size to our main target area across Louisiana and Mississippi. Now, all of these times are universal times, so 22 on that means that at 4 p.m. Central is your greatest chance of having severe weather. If it says 0 near your location, that means 6 p.m. Central is your highest chance of severe weather. And if it says 2 near your location, that's 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can extrapolate what it is for your location based off of that. Probabilities are generally pretty high. Again, according to Colorado State University, the tornado chance is 24.5% plus significant over Mississippi today, as well as a 30% hail risk, just barely reaching that 30% threshold over northern Louisiana.
and then the wind threat at 43%. And again, that's later on in the day over Mississippi, Georgia, and Tennessee. And so we will continue to monitor that as well. I mentioned the possibility for long track tornadoes, and generally when we take a look at the updrafts, that's where we can see such events. And when we see a line of updrafts that makes a very clear line, that generally means that was produced by one supercell in the model. So that doesn't mean necessarily that location will have that specific supercell, but it is looking much to be that way. So as we see northern Louisiana and much of Mississippi having those long tracks, especially as we can see in central Mississippi, we'll take a better look at that here shortly. Beginning first at 4 p.m. Central Time near Greenville, Mississippi. That's where I would target if I were out there in the afternoon. If I'm looking for severe storms near and south of Greenville, Mississippi is going to be the main thing, that the main location that we're going to target. And as we can see here, according to the sounding, again, this tornado thing, we have that classic sickle shaped photograph. That's that image right above me here. And so as we can see also the things that are inhibiting it, and I'm just checking my notes off the side here. The energy in the atmosphere is really good with this. The shear is really good with this. The only thing that's inhibiting it is the SIN, and that's the SIN-H, the column, the third column, over down in the bottom side labeled SIN-H. And that's around 23 in Greenville, Mississippi. And the higher that number gets, the better the chances are that this event busts out. In other words, that this does not happen, that we do not have severe storms. As we move on later into the day at 6 p.m., the radar looks something like this. Again, that red target area remains the same across all of these radar images I show you guys. Moving in to central Mississippi, where I had that star located. Again, much the same. We have that sickle-sized profile. The CAPE is still very high, as well as shear. Actually, the shear increasing from the previous one. But also increasing is the SIN. The SIN now at 71 joules per kilogram. And what that means, again, the higher that number is, the worse it is for a potential bust. Because if we aren't able to overcome that negative energy, that SIN, then we can't have severe storms exist, and it just isn't going to happen. So there's a decent chance that this event busts out, but there's also a decent chance we have a significant event, especially over much of Mississippi, generally from Greenville into central Mississippi. And as I've been saying, this could be very big. EF3 tornadoes possible, perhaps even long track. And as we move on later into the day, around midnight Central Time, 1 a.m. Eastern, you can see those storms begin to consolidate into a line, thus reducing that hail chance and increasing that wind chance as we move off into Alabama, Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle. That's all I have for today. Again, a late season severe weather outbreak is likely. Tornado outbreak is possible over these locations. Large hail and all severe hazards possible as well. For more information, especially in central Mississippi, go to the Jackson, Mississippi weather.gov/JAN for more information on this system, especially if you are living in that area and expecting tornadoes today. That's all for now. Chris Sixton for Weathercastpedia.